Good morning, students. How you all are? Hope you all are well. Here we are back with our English class. And today, before starting our class, I would like to share some information with you. As in the last video, we had already discussed that few topics from the grammar has been deleted. In the same way, few chapters from the book First Flight and Footprints are also deleted. So just I will read it. From the book Footprints, 3 chapters are deleted. 3 chapters. Okay. First one, The Midnight Visitor, which is chapter number 3. Second, A Question of Trust, which is chapter number 4. Then one more chapter is there, The Book That Saved the Earth. So basically, 3 chapters are removed from the footprints, and from First Flight, How to Tell Wild Animal. This poem we had already discussed in this month, but now as per the CBSE's circular, this poem will not be in your syllabus. So although we have studied, but don't revise that chapter again, because from that chapter no question is going to come in your board exam. Then tree, fog, Mitchell the author for Anne Gregory. So in this way, 5 chapters were omitted from the First Flight and 3 chapters from the Footprints. I will do one thing. I will provide the link of this circular in the school app, so you can go through it, and you can also see that which all chapters or topics you are not required to learn. As per the monthly circular of July, I had given chapter number 3, The Midnight Visitor. But now as per the CBSE circular, this chapter is omitted. So today in our class, we will start one chapter from the book Footprints Without Feet, and that is chapter number 5, Footprints Without Feet. So this chapter is replaced by the chapter number 3, The Midnight Visitor. So clear, students? The chapter, The Footprints Without Feet, even it is a part of story taken. Okay, this is written by H.G. Wells. So first we will discuss about the title of the story. Footprints. Footprints means prints of your foot, है ना, मतलब पैरों के निशान. So the specific thing about this heading is footprints, that you cleared, है ना, footprints without feet. So the mystery of the title that you can see in the first paragraph itself. Basically, this story is about an invisible man. Invisible means which we cannot see. So this story is about an invisible man, and as you cannot see the invisible man, but when he walks over, the footprints are there. That is why this chapter is named Footprints Without Feet. Feet are there, but as it is an invisible man, we cannot see his feet. So students, take your Footprints book, page number 26. We will start chapter number 5. Chapter 5, Footprints Without Feet. 2 boys started in surprise at the fresh muddy imprints of a pair. Imprint means prints, nishan, of bare feet. Bare feet means पैरों के निशान without shoes or slippers, सिर्फ पैरों के निशान. What was a barefooted man doing on the steps of a house in the middle of London? And where was the man? So as I had told, the mystery of the title is in the first paragraph itself. So in the first paragraph you can see that the setting of the story is in London, that you can see. So two boys were playing. Suddenly they noticed that two footprints are visible, but feet is not visible. So both the boys were very much puzzled and they were not able to understand that how it is possible that footprints are there but a man is not there. As they gazed means to look, a remarkable sight met their eye. A fresh footprints appeared from nowhere. Okay, so when the boys were thinking that how these footprints were coming, because they can see the footprints but the man was not visible. So they were not able to understand that where these footprints appeared from nowhere. From nowhere, इसका मतलब ये है as they cannot see a man there, but footprints were there. That is why the narrator had written nowhere. Here, nowhere means no man. Next paragraph. Further footprints followed, one after another, descending the steps and progressing down the street. Progressing means moving, you know, moving forward. Progressing down the street. The boys followed, fascinated. Fascinated means attracted. Until the muddy impressions became fainter and fainter, and at last disappeared altogether. So the boys, we had seen that they were gazing, they were looking, they were fascinated, attracted, that how the footprints can be there when there is no man. So these two boys, they were following the footprints, but after a particular point, the footprints stopped and they were not able to see the footprints, and the man was invisible from very beginning. Try to understand that how it happened. मीन्स एज वो एक इनविजिबल मैन था, तो शायद कहीं चलते वक्त उसके पैरों के नीचे कीचड़ लग गया था, और अब वो जो चल रहा था तो उसके पैरों के जो कीचड़ थे वो फुटप्रिंट्स के प्रिंट्स छोड़ रहे थे, और थोड़े दूर चलने के बाद जब उसके पैरों के कीचड़ साफ हो गए, देन देयर वर नो फुटप्रिंट्स. नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ. द एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ मिस्ट्री was really simple enough. The bewildered means puzzled, boys had been following a scientist who had just discovered how to make the human body transparent. So now the mystery of this invisible man is solved. Actually, he was a scientist who just now invented some medicine through which one person can be invisible just like a glass. So the footprints were of a scientist who just discovered some medicine, some drugs through which one can become invisible. Griffin. The scientist had carried out experiments after experiment to prove that human body could become invisible. Finally, he swallowed. Swallowed means pulled, taken, है ना? Certain rare drugs, and his body became as transparent as a sheet of a glass, though it also remained as solid as glass. So the name of this invisible man, the name of this footprints without feet was Griffin. Griffin, Griffin. Okay. So Griffin was that scientist who took experiment after experiment. You can see that the narrator had used word experiment after experiment. The word is repeated. It shows that from a long time Griffin was experimenting that how a person can be invisible. and this time with a rare drugs, with a rare medicine. It was possible for him to become invisible as a sheet of a glass. Sheet of a glass, that you can understand that if you put a sheet of glass in front of you, it will be invisible. That means you can see the things what are on the other side, as the sheet is transparent and as well as solid. So just after Griffin had invented that drugs, he had taken that drugs, the Griffin also became invisible, just like a glass sheet. Brilliant scientist thought he was. Griffin was rather a lawless. Lawless means a person who does not follow the laws, means जो अपने हिसाब से अपने कामों को करता है. Lawless person. His landlord disliked him and tried to eject him. Eject means बाहर निकालना, to remove. In revenge, Griffin set fire to the house. To get away without being seen, he had to remove his clothes. Thus, it was that he became a homeless wanderer without clothes, without money, and quite invisible. Until he happened to step in some mud and left footprints as he walked. So this is a very important paragraph where narrator had shared so many information. So we came to know that the invisible man was a Griffin. Griffin was a scientist who invented a drug through which one can be invisible. We had seen that Griffin was a lawless person who does not obey any law. So it may be a reason the landlord, means Griffin जिनके घर में किराए पे रहता था, he was not happy with Griffin and he tried to remove him from his bungalow. And at that time, Griffin was very much anger. And what he did, he put his landlord's house on fire. So Griffin ने क्या किया, अपने landlord के घर पे आग लगा दिया. And after, as it is a crime to fire somebody's house, so now Griffin wanted to make himself safe. So what he did, as he had, after eating that drugs, his body became invisible. Body became invisible, that was okay, but his clothes were visible. So what he did, to become complete invisible, he removed all his clothes, and at that particular point of time, he was not having any clothes, he was not having any money. As he had moved from the house, he was not having any house. So the narrator is comparing his pathetic condition to a wanderer. Wanderer means जो इधर उधर घूमता है, जिसका कोई घर नहीं होता है. But for the first time, this invisible man came into notice when by mistake some mud came under his foot and it left as the footprint. Means फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में हमने देखा था, ये इनविजिबल मैन सबसे पहले नोटिस दो बच्चों को आता है जिन्होंने, क्योंकि उस इनविजिबल मैन के पैरों में मिट्टी लग गई थी and it was leaving some footprints. So that footprints were noticed by the two boys. We will turn the next page, page number 27, and we will again start the next paragraph. He escaped easily enough from the boy who followed his footprints in London. But his adventure were by no means over. By no means over means not the end. Not the end. He had chosen a bad time of the year to wander about London without clothes. It was mid-winter. The air was bitterly cold. Bitterly means extremely cold. And he could not do without clothes. Instead of walking about the streets, he decided to slip into a big London store for warmth. To slip. बेसिकली टू स्लिप मतलब फिसलना ही होता है, बट हियर टू स्लिप मीन्स टू गो टू अ departmental store in the London. So we had seen that the Griffin, the scientist, he was able to escape from the two boys who were following him. As we had seen in the first paragraph, two boys fascinated by the footprints without feet, and they were following the invisible man. So after to a particular point, the invisible man was able to escape himself. मतलब वो अपने आप को उन बच्चों से तो बचा लिया था, but still his adventure is not came to an end. He has to go, he has to meet so many adventures in this chapter, so many strange things in this chapter. So the narrator says that Griffin, the invisible man, had opted a wrong time to wander in London streets without clothes. As we had seen that when his body became invisible, he removed his clothes to become complete invisible. But that was a time of January and it was severely cold, bitterly cold, extreme cold in the streets of London. So it was very difficult for him to wander in the streets of London. So what he planned? He planned that he will slip, he will go to some departmental store where he can get good clothes and good food for himself. Next paragraph. Closing time arrived, and as soon as the doors were shut, Griffin was able to give himself the pleasure of clothing and feeding himself without regard to expenses. He broke open boxes and wrappers and fitted himself out with warm clothes. Soon, with shoes and overcoat and wide brimmed hat. Wide brimmed hat means the hat with having so many edges. है ना? If you want, you can look at the picture. The brimmed hat, it is seen here. He became fully dressed and visible person. In the kitchen of the restaurant, he found cold meat and coffee, and he followed up the meal with sweets and wine taken from the grocery store. Finally, he settled down to sleep in a pile of quilts. Quilts matlab kambal. So we had seen here that Griffin, he was in very much trouble as the place that was severely cold and he was without clothes, he was naked, he was not able to bear that cold winds. So what he decided? He decided to go to a departmental store. So he went to the departmental store. When the departmental store was closed, all the employees were moved out of the store. What Griffin did? He unboxed the boxes, he tear the wrappers and he worn the warm clothes, he worn the hat. So now our Griffin was visible as his body was invisible, but the clothes, hats, sunglasses that he was wearing, it was clearly visible. So after that he went to the kitchen area of that restaurant. There was cold frozen meat, he consumed it, he had some sweets, he had some wine. So in this way he was very much comfortably filled his tummy. And after that he went in a corner of the shop, he had taken the quilt kambal and he was fast asleep. So in this paragraph we can see that Griffin was very much comfortable and probably he may be thinking that his problems were over, he is completely fine. So I think today's class can be cut shorted now, and I am not giving much homework. You just read the full chapter, this chapter, है ना? So in the next class we will try to finish up the chapter and we will discuss the question answers. So students, thank you.